Welcome to Ghosted by the Machine, the podcast where job seekers break through the algorithm and get heard. No filters, no bots, just 5 minutes of truth. I'm your host, Mark Lane, and today we're giving the mic to someone who's actively seeking and actively showing up. Let's get into it. 5 minutes, 5 questions. Today's guest is Gilbert Neal, a web content specialist from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Welcome to the show, Gilbert.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
You're more than welcome. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what role you're looking for these days.
I am a content Swiss Army knife. I like to write and edit. I've done migration projects, and migration projects are kind of like flying on an airplane. There's terror, then there's boredom, and then there's terror. I like doing anything involving content or taxonomy, and I like writing all sorts of things. I don't have any, I am sort of topic agnostic. I can learn anything. So with Fidelity, I learned about fintech. With Lenovo, I learned about laptops and desktops and the spaces in which they reside. And I learned a little bit about B2B and B2C. I have agency experience, and I'm just looking for a chance.
How long have you been in this job search for?
Well, it seems like it's been a long, long time, like decades, but it's not. It's this iteration of desperation has been about a year and a half. When I was with Fidelity, I was a happy pappy, but then they moved the position to Merrimack, New Hampshire, and I wanted to stay relatively close to my family, so I didn't move there, and that was probably a mistake, but it was a really heavy life choice. So I made it. I'm kind of happy with my choice.
So do you think AI has helped or hurt you during your job search, and why?
The evidence points to it has not helped my job search because it exists. I use it and it hasn't helped me. I think what AI has helped is scammers because it makes it easier for them to find, you know, people looking on LinkedIn and all those things and crafting a mechanism by which they can fool us. I don't mean to be cynical. I'm saying that AI has certain things about it that I like, but if you do any like research or something like that, it's wanting. It's not very good at all because people in, people out, crap in, crap out. So AI doesn't do anything except for take other people's opinions and point them at you. Although it is a tool and it is valuable.
It seems that if you're on LinkedIn and you post something about a job or looking for a job, then your inbox gets corrupted by all these scams or bots that are coming after you. Hey, I'd like to help you find your next job. What type of job are you looking for? I see that you're doing this, you're doing that. And then as you get into it, it turns out to be after a couple quick responses, you find out that they're just looking to help you find your resume to be redone or rebuilt.
It's disheartening, and
Yeah,
there are two sort of subsets of scammers. One is when you put the looking for work little banner on your thing,
open to
for
work.
some reason, automatically you get bothered by a certain subset of people who specialize in like attacking you. And there's another subset of people who are just constantly trying to take advantage of you. But those people don't appear until you're well into the journey of desperation and
Well, then
sadness.
they get you in that funnel, and they're trying to get you in that funnel to get your resume rewritten or
Right.
you name it. But what's interesting is now that I've been doing this since last March, you go through and you hit their profile, and they've got four connections. They're using someone else's avatar. They're using someone else's name. Yesterday, I got one from his name was Gilbert Johns, yet his avatar was Al Michaels, the famous broadcaster, and he was from Germany. You know, I'm like, yeah, okay, buddy, whatever. And then I show them. I have a podcast and we talk about this, and he's like, and he doesn't even care. It's like he's already past that. He's asking questions, so it's a bot. So that's what they do, and it's sad. It's sad that they take advantage of people like us. What's one thing you tell recruiters or hiring managers today about yourself?
Well, everything that I've told them has failed. So maybe don't take my advice, but what I tell them is that I'm versatile, that I can do technical writing and I can do short form and long form. And I love editing and I love seeking out problems and solving problems. I love training. But again, the proof is that it's just not working. I'm not saying the right thing because whatever it is that I'm telling them, I've had about 10, 15 interviews since this whole thing has started and they haven't been successful. So maybe not take my advice, but I try to impress upon them my versatility. I used to think that versatility was the key to survival, but sometimes my versatility is a curse. People say, well, we want someone who's bred in the bone technical writer, or we want someone who's done this specific healthcare thing or the other thing, whatever it is. And your resume sort of functions as a landmine where they're just looking for ways to reject you. It seems from this end, it seems, I'm sure that that's not the truth, but it's almost pernicious in how everything that I think was everything that I thought was an asset is now a liability. And I'm not sure how to solve this. I don't mean to be cynical, but
No, no, and quite frankly, it's pretty much everyone that I've talked to feels the same way. I feel the same way. When I got into this business, I was in broadcasting, and I was pushed, and I say pushed, but I moved into the marketing communication part of a career and thrived. I found that broadcasting wasn't where I wanted to go, and I wanted to get into marketing communications, and I was working for Fortune 500 companies and consulting them, and now they're like, "Well, you did this and this, but this doesn't fit here. We only need this part of your toolbox." Whereas when I got started, they says, "You need to get as many tools as you can, put in your toolbox. You wanna show all this experience." Well, now experience, they look at that as a curse.
right, that's exactly right. I started with broadcasting too. As a matter of fact, my degree is in broadcasting. Sh- Um, was
There's a
big
certain
waste of money.
person, there's only certain people that fit into that broadcast business, and I hate to say it like that, but I wanted to be creative, and I found that out, and I got into broadcasting. All I was doing was just telling a story, and you can only be so creative when you're doing sports broadcasting.
Right. And the
That's
window is
that
getting smaller and smaller.
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
for creativity. I mean,
yes.
like in music, if you're somebody who does music on an FM station, there's no creativity. You're reading a script. It's just the same thing with sports. I mean, we're seeing people get in real trouble for telling the truth on broadcast on ESPN, for example. People are getting in real trouble for just getting off of the script and like telling and that's going to become more and more ubiquitous as we go.
I've had numerous interviews where they say, "This is an internal communication position." I said, "Well, I've done internal communications for X, Y, and Z."
Well, we don't want
And
that.
then no, well, then they'll say, um, you know, "Give me an example of what you've done, and this is how you came about doing it." So I gave 'em an internal communication example, and I said, "Look, it also led to building a brand. We took the internal communication from the employees, found out that this is how they felt about the company. We used that as a branding message, which turned out to be an external communication advertising campaign." And they're like, "Oh, okay." And then you find out later when they send you the Dear John letter, "Well, we thank you, but you didn't really hit on exactly what we were looking for in internal communications." I said, "I just gave you the whole enchilada. I didn't have to go and tell you about external, but I can just do internal communications. Just give me that shot." "No, this is what we're looking for. Have a nice day."
There was a company I worked for, a really big company, and for internal communication, they took a poll of all of the people who worked there, line private poll saying, "What is the one thing you don't like about our company?" And the one thing that they said, like 97% of the people said, "We don't like being told we have to come in to the office."
Really?
Yeah. We don't like being told we have to. It's not that we won't. It's just that when you make it a mandate and you make our jobs less secure, we don't like it. 97% of this massive company. So what did they do with that information? They made it mandatory to come into the office. And it's vexing because hope that they get the message. They
Right.
get the message and they do the opposite. So what is that? Is it trying to winnow down the head count or whatever? I give out. Boy, give out, I say.
Well, Gilbert, is there anything that gives you hope right now? We've both been cynical here on this conversation, but is there anything that gives you hope?
I am 61. In about 6 months, I can start collecting Social Security. I have a tax return due and I have some savings. This will get me through. I will live. But I can't buy a guitar. I can't take a trip. I can't buy a suit. I can't buy a new car. I had to sell my car. I didn't have to sell my car, but I wanted to be more secure and not be have to sell it later when it was going to be worth less money. The thing that gives me hope is that this can't be forever. This has got to change. Maybe in 3 years it'll change. Maybe in 1. But I can't imagine that we can have a functioning society that treats its intellectual property like ballast. I mean, that's not very hopeful, but I admire what you're doing. I think it's great. The person that I referred you to is doing the same thing. They're in, I think, Sweden, and they're doing the same thing that you are. It inspires me to maybe do more with the opportunities that I do have, like my volunteer work at the radio station and my music. I have 7 albums out. Maybe do more with that now that I'm being forced to do that. So maybe the universe is trying to make me do the opposite of what it told me before, which is to conform. Who knows?
Gilbert, thank you so much for sharing your story. And if you're watching or listening and thinking, hey, this sounds like me, you're not alone. If you'd like to tell your story, email or DM me. And if you want to stay plugged into the real stories, real insights, and real humans behind today's broken hiring system, make sure to follow us and subscribe to all our social channels. And, we appreciate you watching. We appreciate your comments. I'm Mark Lane, and this is Ghosted by the Machine because behind every application, there's a human. Let's make hiring human again. Gilbert, thanks again. Have a great day. We'll
Thank
talk
you,
soon,
Mark.
my friend.
Talk soon. Bye bye.